We're here to talk about something very, very special today, and a special edition of the Charney Report. Imagine that our generation is the first generation in the history of mankind, of humanity, that is able to technologically record every note, every idea, every image ever produced. One person who will be interviewed today by the name of Nova Spivack actually came up with the idea of creating an civilizational, if you may, database, which will be our entire backup solution for this entire civilization. So here today with me, Mrs. Tzili Charney, who is the person who's making this whole thing possible, the Charney Report and many other programs. And she is behind a very, very special initiative taken by Nova Spivack to take part of that civilizational backup to the moon. Good day to you, Nova Spivack from Los Angeles.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit before we dive into the story of how you came up with this brilliant idea of creating a civilizational backup disk. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a serial entrepreneur, as they say.
Yep, I actually am a serial entrepreneur. I studied in the space industry and flew to the edge of space in 1999, and then started one of the first space tourism companies after that, and then a bunch of internet companies. And then I started working on this idea of backing up human civilization so that it could never be lost. And in order to do that, we have to put some of those backups in space. So we formed a nonprofit called the Ark Mission Foundation, and that's what we're doing now.
Now, how many civilizations did we lose in the past, approximately?
Well, according to a NASA study, the average length that a civilization actually survives is about 200 to 300 years. And in the course of recorded history, we've lost thousands of them, in fact, without a trace.
So what you're proposing is to create one backup disk that will include all the information that we can gather, including the information that we have about past civilizations as well. And then how do we make sure that this database that is going to be so valuable for future generations is going to be protected and secure?
Right. We use the word disk loosely because, as well as things that look like disks, we're even using new forms of storage that are so small you can't even see them. For example, using molecular storage in DNA. So we have many forms of storage, and these are also very durable and are protected in special containers that protect them from the elements for up to billions of years. The strategy is many copies, many places. So we'll put many copies and we'll send updates. We'll put them in many places, on Earth, on the moon, and in other places around the solar system.
Tell us a little bit about how you managed to get your first piece of backup on the moon.
SpaceIL, the Israeli privately funded, student-led mission to the moon, generously offered to carry our lunar library on their moon landing. And our dear friend and main benefactor, Tzili Charney, who's with us today, stood up with a donation. And so we, the Ark mission, provided SpaceIL with the first commercial payload to ever land on the moon, which is what just happened. It actually is there on the moon.
And at this point, if with your permission, Nova, I'd like to turn to Tzili Charney and ask her, Tzili, what prompted you to get involved in this really incredibly far-sighted project?
After I met Nova and I heard about his initiative, I found it very cool and very uplifting, and I wanted to be part of it, and I wanted to create an extension that would address the whole universe. I always liked to get to the moon, and finally I have at least a little bit option to help to get something to the moon, and maybe later on to follow. But I thought it's a great idea for civilization. I think it's uplifting idea for people, atmosphere-wise, emotionally-wise, something positive, something wonderful that everybody can share. Doesn't matter who they are and where they are, in spite of what's going on.
So from that little mission that sent the little disk to the moon, and right now it is on the moon, let's make sure that our viewers understand, there is a 30 million page backup disk on the moon with lots of very, very important information. From that evolved a whole new brand that looks at the moon in a very positive, embracing way. Tell us a little bit about Moonhug.
Well, once we joined Space IL and Bereshit on the way to the moon, we were thinking, we thought how to basically let everybody enjoy it and use it and not only read about it and be part of something as part of the news. And we came with the idea of Moonhug, so everybody can participate in this big hug, and what we would like is to provide people different levels of participating based on their wishes, ideas, and I think we're going to execute it in a beautiful way very soon.
Terrific. Nova, what is your best case scenario? The disk is on the moon, so mission accomplished as far as the ARC Foundation and Tzili Charney are concerned. What's the best case scenario for you for the future of Moonhug and your entire operation?
Well, we've already offered to provide our capabilities and the inclusion of millions of people that we can bring together to the next Israeli mission, Bereshit 2. As well as that, we have other missions to the moon that are scheduled and many others that haven't been announced yet. A continual series of missions to the moon from now on, where we'll be able to add more and more, but also backups of individuals and their families, as well as their wishes, their hopes, because we want to give everybody a personal experience of having something of themselves on the moon. I can tell you from experience, because my backup is there now, it changes your life. You know, something you made, something from your life, your family, your wishes, it's there on the moon. And I know exactly where it is. When I look at the moon, I can see the place where it is. And that is subtle, but yet profound.
And what do you tell our viewers that watch us right now and want to get involved? What do they have to do?
It's very simple. We haven't announced our secret plan yet, but if you want to be first on the list to know, you have to go to jointhehug.com and register for our mailing list. We will notify you. And it is first come, first serve. In some of the things we do, space may be limited. So the earlier you sign up, the more likely it is that you'll get into our early missions.
This initiative is much bigger than just get to the moon, and I think that a big hug is basically a human hug for humanity. And as much as things might go wrong everywhere, the spirit should be positive and allow people to come together in good terms, even just to mean to be part of it, you know. And whether it gets there or not, I think that the humankind will gain from getting together and try to build their hopes and wishes towards something positive.
When Tzili approached us with the idea for Moonhug, I think the motivation behind it was not merely to land things on the moon, but to create a movement around the idea of the moon and what it symbolizes for humans. A positive way to unite people around the world in humanity's movement to space and the optimism that it represents. So Moonhug isn't just a landing on the moon or a bunch of moon landings. It's really an event that will continue to become a giant hug for all humankind.
I believe that once we put it together and people will join us, we'll be able to unite them and uplift them and let them join in something very positive that would make them feel much better.
And by participating in this, not only can you travel with us to the moon, but you can become part of this community that will embrace the planet with a number of amazing events and initiatives that you'll find out about in the future.
Well, everybody can get involved by signing in. Later on, everybody will be able to participate on their level from nothing to everything, and we'll walk them through. The idea is to allow everybody where they are, no matter what they have, to be part of this project.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to teach us about your vision. Thank you, Tzili, Charney, for making all of this possible. And until the next special edition of the Charney Report, have a great day.